All right, what up? It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers. We are continuing down our security engineer pathway. This is day 8, episode 8 of the path that we're on, the security engineer path. We are currently in the threats and risks module, and this is all part of the security engineer pathway of TryHackMe. And this is what our room is today. We're talking about vulnerability management, and this is our outline. So we got obviously the intro, we got vulnerability management versus vulnerability scanning, vulnerability classification, vulnerability management life cycle, discover and prioritize, and then the assess and report, and then remediate and verify portions of the life cycle. And then we have the framework at the very end. It seems like there's a machine that's going to be attached to this. So this is going to be our outline. Everything is going to be time-stamped in the description below, so you'll have access to all these things. If you wanted to skip around or go to a specific portion of the video, you could do that. And yeah, this is basically what we're dealing with today. If you are currently studying for your security engineer or security analyst certification or Pentest Plus, Ethical Hacker, any of those things, I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. This is currently the path that we're on. I actually just finished the SOC Level 1 pathway a couple of weeks ago, so that playlist is complete. I think it has about like 50 videos or something like that. Maybe 51, or it definitely has at least 50 videos. I know that for sure. And it's very, very comprehensive. I've taken my security analyst certification exam, and I can tell you from personal experience that everything that is discovered and talked about in that playlist and all of that content is actually directly applicable to your certification exams. And then more importantly, it's applicable to your job as a junior analyst or a CYSA analyst. And yeah, honestly, that's the reason why I started this channel, even, is because I just wanted to have something for my own reference that I could go refer back to and kind of pull up information that I need to. But it just so happens that other people also find these things useful, and it's turned into a nice sized little community that we have here with a lot of awesome people. So I do encourage you to join our community. I do respond to all the comments that come in, so if you have any questions, I will get to your questions as soon as I possibly can. And you know, if you're studying for a security engineer for the next couple of weeks, that's all gonna be talking about. This is all we're gonna be talking about. So would love to have you as part of the community, and I think you'll get a lot of value from it. Now, without further ado, let us jump into the intro of the room. So per NIST, a vulnerability is defined as a weakness in an information system, system security procedure, internal control, or implementation that could be exploited or triggered by a threat source. So it's not just the system. It could be the security procedure, internal controls, or the implementation of something that you have that could all have a vulnerability in it. That all of those things could have a weakness in them. In this room, we're gonna learn the process of effectively identifying, detecting, mitigating, and reporting a vulnerability in line with the standard frameworks. And we're going to be going through some practical examples as well. These are our learning objectives for the room, and these are our prerequisites. And all of these things I think I've actually done. So there should be videos of this already. The security principles room is part of the current path that we're on, so I know for sure that we did that. The understanding vulnerability databases, let me see if we did that. So this is vulnerabilities 101. There's a video for this that I already did. For sure, I know I did this. This is part of the SOC level 1 pathway. So you'll find this somewhere inside that playlist. And then the exploiting of the vulnerabilities is also in that same pathway. So for sure, you'll find both of those inside the SOC level 1 playlist. And then the security principles is a part of the current path that we're on. So it's a few episodes back that I did that one. So all of this stuff is available to you if you want to go check those out before jumping into the rest of this video. So let's talk about the vulnerability management versus vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability management, it's an ongoing, proactive, and frequently automated activity that protects computer systems, networks, enterprise solutions from cyber attacks and data breaches. It's a vital component of the overall security program. By doing all of these things, a business can help avoid attacks um, and mitigate the effects of those attacks if they actually occur. Vulnerability scanning since the management is a process around vulnerability scanning, it's essential to know how scans are actually conducted, right? So you just need to know how to do vulnerability scans, and we've done a lot of that stuff inside of the Pen Test Plus and the Junior Pen Tester playlist. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can scan for vulnerabilities. The most important one, or the biggest one, is the Nmap tool that I mean, I feel like everybody should learn how to do. Even if you're on defensive security, you should know how to use Nmap to do scanning of a network and enumerating the network. And inside Nmap, there's a great series of scripts that scan for vulnerabilities. So all of that stuff comes inherent with it. But then there's just a bunch of other tools as well that you can use. I think Nessus is like a really big one too. Most vulnerability scanners may be operated via a graphical user interface, a GUI, allowing you to do vulnerability scans on a whole network with a few couple of clicks. Security vendors offer technological solutions with varying deployment choices, including standalone managed services and software as a service, SaaS. Some popular commercial vulnerability tools are Nessus, Nexpose, Acunetics, and some good open source solutions like Greenbone and OWASP Zap and a lot of other stuff. They didn't mention Nmap, but Nmap is really good for that too. The terms vulnerability management and vulnerability scanning are frequently misunderstood. So there's a significant distinction between those two things. Using a computer program to find vulnerabilities in networks or infrastructure or applications is called scanning, vulnerability scanning. But when you do management, it's the process that encompasses vulnerability scan. So vulnerability scanning is a part of management, but then you also got to do other things, meaning either analyze the risk, accept the risk, remediate the risk, report the risk. So it's a holistic process, right? So vulnerability scanning is a part of vulnerability management. And I mean, that's pretty commonsensical. I feel like that should make sense. Vulnerability management aims to lower the organization's overall risk exposure by identifying, mitigating as many vulnerabilities as possible. And it can be challenging given the potential vulnerabilities and limited resources available for remediation. So management should be a continual effort to stay up with new and emerging threats. The growing prevalence of cybercrime and the accompanying risks are compelling most firms to prioritize information security, and the efforts to control information security threats should include a procedure for managing vulnerabilities. This procedure will enable a business to receive a continual overview of the vulnerabilities and related hazards in their IT environment, and a company can only prevent attackers from infiltrating their network and stealing sensitive data by discovering and mitigating their vulnerabilities, right? That's the only way that you can do it, is to find out about them and patch them in advance, protect yourself, basically. Pretty common sense, right? So the process encompassing vulnerability scanning and other factors is called vulnerability management. And in the overall objective of vulnerability management to increase, or is the overall objective of vulnerability management to increase an organization's risk exposure? That seems pretty retarded. So no, it's not. It's to decrease your risk exposure. So let us move on to vulnerability classification. The vulnerability classification, there's a really good resource for this, and it's called the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures Database. And the CVE code, or like the CVE number of a vulnerability, is something that you're going to see all the time. This is what it looks like right here. And all vulnerabilities that have been discovered usually have a CVE code that's attached to them. MITRE maintains that list, and it's publicly documented, and you can go and check it out. I think there's another one called CVE Details. This is another one. This is not the MITRE website. This is just CVE Details, and then you can search by a CVE ID or the product or the vendor or something like that. And I don't know if we're going to be using that one or if we're going to be using the MITRE one, which is the cve.org database for MITRE. And there's where is the section right here? There should be another one. List of partners, CNA rules, CVE record lifecycle, idea tracker, working group vulnerability researcher, access based on role, CVE number, authority. Okay, we'll find it eventually. I'll find it because we need to use it. Oh, you know what? It's up here. it was freaking hidden because of that notification that we had. So this is what the cve.org, this is the one that belongs to MITRE, and this the other one is just cvedetails.com. So this one that you see right here, this is from MITRE. So this is the actual MITRE version of the CVE, the Common Vulnerability and Exposure. And so you have the ID number at the top, you have the score and the type that are attached to it. So the CVSS score, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System score for this one is 9, which is pretty high up there. And the confidentiality impact is complete. Total information disclosure, integrity impact is complete. There's a total compromise of system integrity. Availability impact is complete. There's a total shutdown. So this is a bad freaking vulnerability, whatever the fuck this is. What is this? The vulnerability, execute code, gain privileges. Yeah, okay. The vendor is McAfee or McAfee, however you pronounce that. This is a badass freaking vulnerability. Privilege escalation vulnerability in McAfee Web Gateway prior to 9.2 allows an authenticated user to gain elevated privileges through the user interface and execute commands on the appliance via incorrect, improper neutralization of user input in the troubleshooting page. So yeah, that's pretty mean. Is this the one that we're looking at? Yeah, 23885. So this is it, right? So this is it. Illustrates CV identifier, so on and so forth. Common configuration enumeration gives the system configuration issues unique identifiers to quickly and accurately link configuration data. For instance, CCE identifiers can be used to match the configuration assessment tools with recommended best practices. It's comparable to the CVE list. Then you have common platform enumeration, method for classifying and identifying devices, operating systems, and application types inside an infrastructure. It's widely used in security and vulnerability management to identify various things. And then we have common vulnerability scoring system, which is a scoring system that ranks the severity of the vulnerability. So if it's 0, then there's no severity. If it's 0.1 to 3.9, it's low. 4.0 to 6.9, medium. And then you got high, and then you got critical. So if it's 9 and above, it's critical. This one right here, this is a critical vulnerability. That means you got to take care of that right now. You got to fix that right now. So there are numerous public sites with information vulnerabilities. The National Vulnerability Database administered by NIST is the comprehensive database of CVE assigned known vulnerabilities, and NVD and CVE are frequently used interchangeably. They differ in many ways. CVE is just a list of the entries. Nevertheless, NVD is a more comprehensive database based on and fully synchronized with the CVE list, guaranteeing that any updates on the list are represented in the National Vulnerability Database. So this one looks like this. Let's see what this one is. NIST's National Vulnerability Database. Look at that. So we could probably search somewhere in here, vulnerabilities. Just click on that and it opens this thing up for us. And if we wanted to detail page vulnerability statuses, cve.org at the bottom, which is this thing that we were on. And then we have the rules at such and such, products, developers, contact, other sites, search. There we go. This is what we got to go to. And then search for vulnerabilities, products, checklists, all that jazz. So let's look at this. So what is the CVSS score for the CVE 2013-1048? So let's copy this thing and go here. Wait, I don't want to do anything like that. I just want to go home, search for this, find that. And what do we got? We got the full thing here. And where can I find its score real quick? Here it is. Oh, actually, you know what? That screenshot is from the NIST website. So when you go here, you can search for the thing, and then right at the bottom it says view additional information about this on NVD. So click on that, and it opens up this page right here. And this is what we got. So the Debian Apache 2CTL script, squeeze before yada yada yada. And what it does is does not properly create the locked directory, which allows local users to gain privileges via an unspecified symlink attack. There's no base score here. So what do you mean there's no base score, bro? We need the score. It's not possible for internet. That's version 3. So let's see, version 2 is 4.6. So version 3 didn't have a score. Let's see if the version 2 works. Yeah, it does. What is the access complexity of 1048? So let's go back to this. And then what you can do is you can actually go and look at its information about its details and everything. So let's try to find access complexity on this. Oh, it's actually literally right here. So these are all the things that we need, right? So attack vector is local, access complexity is low, authentication is none, confidentiality is partial, integrity is partial, availability is partial. So access complexity is low for this thing. So here we go. And with the fictional 2023-2022, what would be the CVE ID assign year be? 2022? No, 2023. There it is. Okay. So did they tell us this? Did they say that that's how it breaks down? I think it is, right? So it's basically the year is the first set of numbers right here. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Alrighty. Vulnerability classification is in the bag. Let us move to vulnerability management life cycle. Discover and prioritize. And for this one, we gotta actually start a machine. So I'm gonna start that, and when that starts up, we'll actually jump into it. Right, so here we go. We got the machine loaded, and to be able to access the machine, I needed to load my attack box here. But if you're using this, you can always just connect to TryHackMe via a VPN, and then be able to access all these machines that way. And it's probably better that way because their attack boxes sometimes can be very slow because they do have a lot of users trying to use these networks and do all these things. So it is beneficial, in my opinion, for you to use your own machine. So anyways, they are, this is, let's see if we can kind of get this loaded while we read through this information, just so we can be better with our time management. So I'm going to paste that in here. There we go. Press enter. And that should load. Okay, there we go. We got it. So 6 essential phases in vulnerability management, right? So we're going to go through all those things over here, and then we're going to be using something called XAMPP, and from there, these are our username and passwords. And so the first step is the discover step, and then you're gonna, I'm not gonna read all these things because I'm actually gonna do them so you can see how that works. And then from there, we're gonna prioritize. So these are the first 2 steps, is discovery and prioritization. So let's first log in, since it's gonna be admin is our username and password. And I don't need to save this right now. So this is what the dashboard looks like right here. So pretty simple. I think I can probably keep this in split screen. I don't have to necessarily go into full screen for this. Hopefully we'll be able to manage it pretty well that way. And so the first part is what? So we're going to do a discover. So we need to create a new target. So this is our overview screen. So what I need to do is I need to create a new one. So I wonder if that's under, let's see, it'll say add target. Once logged into this, open the configuration menu, which is right here actually. And then inside the configuration menu, we can create our targets. And under this, there is the target port list, so on and so forth. And then I think this is the button right here to do an add target. There we go. So it's going to be a Windows target. The host, we got to declare manually. It's going to be our actual host, which is the one that we're on right here. So I think that's the one that we're supposed to use. So we'll add the IP address 198. That's the, in this example, we will add this thing, we can submit, let me see if that's the one that I'm supposed to use. Although I think I'm supposed to use the one that they assigned to me. Okay, so I think I'm actually supposed to use the one that they're talking about in the text here. So I'm gonna just use this one and see if this is the one that we're actually supposed to use. And if we don't get the answers to the questions that we want. So it says target already exists. So that probably means that I don't need to do that. Add task next, open the scans menu, click on the task to configure the tool for the assets and the specified target. Once the page is opened, click the page with the star icon. We've initiated the scanning process. The status of the scan is available through the reports, and as soon as the scan is finished, we can click on the corresponding scan from the page. You can ignore the vulnerabilities related to GCE. So prioritize. The next step is involving grouping and assigning this, and based on how crucial they are, this can significantly assist the organization in determining which groups require special attention, and thus will aid in a decision-making process. So once they are identified, we will prioritize the identified vulnerabilities in different assets based on operational importance. Okay, so all of this is fine. So now it says we have already scanned the Ubuntu machine. Therefore, the answer of the following questions is going to be based, and I see. So it's going to be based on the one that already exists here. And so this is the Linux app task, yeah, right here. So this is the thing right here. So from here then, since the scan has already been done, what I can do is go to the scans menu and click on the task that we got. So this is our task in the scans menu, and then we have the Linux app task right here at the bottom. So we're going to open this thing, and this is what we're going to be using to answer our questions, right? So it says right there, after scanning, what is the total number of medium level vulnerabilities? So let's try to find that. All right, so the answer to this one is actually under scans and then reports, which is the page that I'm on right here. But every time you click on that, it loads the thing. So I'm going to go back to this. And so this is what it looks like right here. And so for our Linux app task, the medium vulnerability is 1. So we have 1 high, 1 medium, 2 low, and then 18 pieces on our log. So medium vulnerabilities is 1. What is the severity score for the vulnerability ICMP timestamp reply information disclosure? So if can I click on these one by one, or what do we do? Let's say we do click on this date. Maybe that'll open it up for us. There we go. It opened it up for us. And so we're going to go look at our results here. So that'll be under, I think it's going to be under results. Yes, it is under results. So right here, the very bottom one, it says ICMP timestamp reply information disclosure. And what does it say? It says, what's the severity score? So the severity score for this is low. It's 2.1. So no big deal, or not that big of a deal. And then what is the operating system and the version number of the target machine? So let's go try to find that. So it's going to be hosts most likely. And host name is this, IP address, so on and so forth. Operating system, there we go. Ubuntu 20.04. So let's do that. And voila, there is that. So we got our discover and prioritize section done. I'm pretty sure the rest of these things are also going to be answered using our Greenbone security assistant. So let's go into vulnerability management lifecycle, assess and report. All right, so the third phase involves creating a risk baseline by evaluating the assets to determine how severe each risk is. The process lets organizations decide which risk to eliminate based on factors such as classification, criticality, and vulnerability. And the longer run assessments help organizations establish a consistent baseline. For this purpose, we looked at the top risk rated assets and noticed that most of them are associated with PHP, a server-side scripting language. Therefore, we decided to look at the vulnerabilities of this asset first. A list of identified vulnerabilities filtered with PHP is shown below. So we are on results. In this case, out of the 341, there's 173 that show up when you look for PHP. And 173 are associated with this by OpenBAS. Most of them are rated as high severity, whereas the others that are rated as medium, only 2 of them are associated with PHP, are low severity. So, and then you go through reporting to assess the statement with each vulnerability. Documenting and reporting known vulnerabilities is crucial. And what page is this on? So for this person, we go to the high severity vulnerability with 10, and we can do this by clicking on the corresponding vulnerability from the GUI to get more details about the vulnerability and the possible impact. The following images show that the GVM has provided information on the vulnerability and suggested remedial measures to fix it. Similarly, we inspected the buffer overflow and several other critical vulnerabilities associated with PHP in the scan results and found that all of them can be fixed by upgrading the PHP to its latest version. So product detection result this is the one that we're looking at specifically. This is one vulnerability that we're looking at specifically. And before reporting it, it's highly advised to confirm that it's not a false positive. That's a big deal because vulnerability scanners are prone to such errors as well as false negatives, right? So while some might be straightforward to confirm, such as the identified ones with default credentials, others might require some effort remotely or from the client. And in any case, when a vulnerability is identified as a false positive, it's recommended to flag it in the report in the tool for future reference. So download the Linux task report in PDF format. What's the severity rating of the vulnerability in the report where the solution type is workaround? So we're going to go to the Linux task report in PDF format, which I believe it's this thing right here that I can click that will download it for me. And once we have selected PDF, there we go, we're going to click OK, and it'll download it for us. And it opened it automatically as well. And we have 7 pages total here, and so we're supposed to look for the severity rating of the vulnerability where the solution type is workaround. So let's try to find something that has the solution type workaround. So I'm basically just going to search for that. And there's only one instance of the word workaround inside this document. And the vulnerability, let's try to find the top portion of this. This is, painfully slow right here. So this is it right here. So the CVSS, and it's skipped, of course. Here we go. The CVSS for this is 4.8. And it says, what is the severity rating of it? Medium is the severity rating. What is the solution type for the TCP timestamp vulnerability? The solution type for the TCP timestamp vulnerability. So let's now search for TCP timestamp. TCP timestamps, the solution is mitigation. You see that right in the middle of the page right there. And what is the CVE for ICMP timestamp reply information disclosure? So the actual CVE itself. So ICMP timestamp reply. There we go. and the CVE itself is, I believe, 1999-0524. So CVE 1999-0524. Oh, I even put a plus sign at the end of it, and it still did it. So there's that. We got the assess and report, and from there we are going to move into the vulnerability management lifecycle, remediate and verify. Remediation involves fixing the vulnerability that we discovered, beginning with the most severe, obviously. The identified vulnerability should be reported to the concerned stakeholders. A few approaches for dealing with known vulnerabilities. A few approaches are available for dealing with known vulnerabilities. Remedial action, such as thoroughly addressing or patching vulnerabilities, is the best course of action. If complete remediation is not feasible, businesses might mitigate, which entails lowering the risk of the exploitation or minimizing the potential harm, and security engineers can acknowledge their vulnerability, for instance, when the risk involved is low, and choose to do nothing about it, and that would be called acceptance, right? So now that we are aware of the most critical vulnerabilities in the organization, it's time to report them to the stakeholders for remediation. We're going to create a ticket for the PHP vulnerability and assign it to the response team or the responsible team. Tickets in the GVM can be created from the detailed view of the corresponding vulnerability as shown below. So you click on the actual vulnerability itself, and then you create a new ticket by creating the ticket, and it goes to the admin user, and the responsible team receive the ticket and will resolve the issue by upgrading PHP to the latest version. Once they resolve it, they'll change the status to fixed, and the remediation ticket status can be tracked from the resilience remediation tickets menu that is below right here. So right here, it doesn't show us all of the screen shot, so it seems like we're just on the tickets page, and then we have the vulnerability, severity, so on and so forth. And does it say fixed? Where does it say fixed? Status is open, so it doesn't say fixed yet. Then you have verification and monitoring. So in the last step of the management, regular audits and process monitoring are used to guarantee that all threats have been eradicated, and we will rescan the target after applying the fix. If the results are satisfactory, we will close the remediation ticket. So create a ticket for resolving the clear text transmission of sensitive information via HTTP vulnerability. So we're going to go back to our list of vulnerabilities here, and I'll just leave this open for, I don't know, just in case we might need to refer back to it. And it's still loading and it's still processing, so that's kind of a pain in the behind. I'm going to close some tabs just to make it a little bit easier, I think. Oh, it's also because I literally have like a million windows open on my secondary monitor, so that could be a reason. So I'm going to go to, what am I looking for? The clear text transmission of the thing, which is right here. So we're going to click on this, and once it opens up, I'm going to go to, oh, I see. So it's actually not the details link. It's that little button on the left side. It's that thing. So we click on that. It looks like a magnifying glass with a plus sign in it. And now we're on the page that we're supposed to be. So now we're going to create a ticket by clicking this ticket button. And what is there anything I'm supposed to say? We're gonna do resolve this vulnerability, and that's it. So save it, and that's been completed. Now it says, as security engineer, the priority of a remediation ticket for a critical vulnerability must be what? It must be high, because it's critical. And there we go, we got that. So vulnerability management lifecycle, remediate and verify has been done. So now we can move on to the vulnerability management framework. There is a renowned framework used for vulnerability management. It's the NIST called CSF. right? So the CSF cybersecurity framework by NIST, and it's the guidance for organizations to better manage cybersecurity risk and to better reduce. And so this is intended as a comprehensive strategy, and it's become a helpful management resource for corporate businesses as well as government entities. And it goes through 5 specific steps. You have identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So identify what assets require security, put the right security measures in place to protect them, implement adequate procedures to detect cybersecurity events, develop methods for mitigating effects, and if there's something that you need to recover, implement the proper procedures for restoring capabilities. This is the visual of this with all of the breakdowns on it. So this is the overall framework, and under identify we have asset management, governance, risk assessment, business environment, risk management strategy. Then this is what we have under protect, and under detect, respond, and recover. So it is the standard as mentioned earlier. So if you want to pause this and kind of read through all of this or take a screenshot of this, I would not be mad at you, but you can also probably just find it by going to the link here, which is the cybersecurity framework link. So there's CSF 2.0. Read the document. So let's see if we can do this. We hope okay, that's fine. It's going to move us to here. So this is the actual document, 32-page document here. And I think the screenshot that we got was, let's see if I can find that exact chart from the screenshot. This seems to be, nope, that's not it. Well, it's probably old. And this is the updated one. So, or the one that we're looking at right here is old, and the PDF that we were in was the updated one. Identify, so develop asset discovery methodologies, discover assets in real time, ascertain the criticality of assets. You can't safeguard what you do not know, implement the required tools and procedures to achieve complete insight over the enterprise assets, including those on-premises and cloud assets. The process of discovering assets should be automated to get a near real-time picture of all the assets, and adding security and business relevance to the assets would assist you in prioritizing their significance to your business. It's crucial to analyze as much data as possible. Unfortunately, most companies use a subjective method to estimate the importance of it. So protect, deploy security safeguards, make sure, use security systems and technology. So this could be anything that would be either network, email security, ransomware, any of that stuff, encryption, regular backups, identity access management, information security management systems, SIMs, data loss prevention, anything like that. And then under detect, you probably have an IDS and an IPS that's going to show up at some point in this environment. So you need to have something that will detect. So an intrusion detection system or an intrusion protection system would probably fall under this, that you would need to be able to detect the vulnerabilities that happen, prioritize the vulnerabilities that have been detected. Actually, no, so this is for vulnerabilities. So this is probably not even about intrusion detection. It's probably about vulnerability detection. So that's what we're going to be, so an IDS would not necessarily be a vulnerability detection system. It's literally just for intrusions and actual attacks happening. So once you have the vulnerabilities, if you want to detect vulnerabilities, you have mapped the attack surface, so you know what all your assets are, and you need to be able to use something to detect the vulnerabilities against those assets. And then you got to prioritize all of these things, because most likely there's going to be a lot of them, and you got to figure out which one the most critical ones are, and then just go down the line as it gets less and less severe, and then quantify the risk. So the last video that we did, which I got confused in because of the formula that we were using to actually quantify risks and the potential damages that could be done. So if you want to laugh at me, you can go watch that video. But it's not that complicated once you actually kind of do a proper read through. I didn't do a proper read through. I was trying to rush through the content, so that's my bad, and that's why I got confused. But once you do a proper read through, it's actually not confusing. Very, very basic math, and it helps you understand how to quantify vulnerabilities and risks and what the damages may actually be dollar-wise, dollar value-wise. And based on the organization's mission, you would be quantifying those risks in regards to your particular company. It gives a consistent vocabulary if you do this for prioritization of the events and initiatives and tracking how efficient the efficacy of the overall cybersecurity program, and then just constant monitoring. We talked about this in the last video. We're going to be talking about this probably for the foreseeable future. This is not going to be something that we're going to stop talking about. So constant monitoring is your job as a security analyst slash engineer. You're just going to be monitoring the environment constantly just to see how everything is working and if you need to pay attention to anything specific. Then you have the response category. So have you implemented the necessary techniques and mechanisms to mitigate the vulnerability's impact? So define ownership. So who's responsible for addressing each vulnerability? Establish reporting. Reports present relevant stakeholders with the extent of vulnerabilities that have been identified. Share status regularly. So it's part of the continuous monitoring. There's also continuous sharing and communication. So there needs to be timely updates on the remedial queue, what you're going to be remediating. Further parts of the status sharing is ability to provide reports that demonstrate progress on risk mitigation and commercial value. Adopt a risk acceptance approach. Swiftly eliminating all discovered vulnerabilities is impossible. There could be circumstances where business critical assets must be taken offline to address a vulnerability, and one should establish a strategy for risk acceptance based on that. Then you have the established remedial measures. So during operations, security teams should concentrate on eradicating large quantities of critical vulnerabilities. However, when adversaries actively exploit a newly discovered critical vulnerability, the security team should focus on finding and releasing patches or swift mitigations to address the severe new stuff that comes in. And then you have recovery. So it's the final step that entails updating and strengthening resilience and restoring anything that might have been lost. So have you implemented the process and technologies necessary for detecting and resolving future vulnerabilities? Implement sophisticated search capabilities. Have the power to look for affected assets. It's one of the preventative measures required for vulnerability management remediation. And in the detect stage, you have to be able to quickly and precisely identify the assets. You should be able to confirm the vulnerability occurrences have been addressed during the recovery phase. Extend security to unmanaged areas. Cloud infrastructure, fuels the explosion of attack surfaces because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and they can attack more things. So in recovery, we need to be able to increase the insight across conventional assets, which is the physical stuff, so the laptops and the desktops, and not currently covered by the solutions that you're running. So these are the stuff that it would be considered IoT. So a cell phone could technically be an IoT device that may not necessarily be covered by the solutions that you did for your conventional assets. So you may, most companies have solutions for conventional assets, but as you expand the attack surface and there are assets that aren't currently covered, which could be cloud assets, IoT devices, any of that stuff, that would be something that you would need to address and extend the security to those areas that are not being managed. There's something called the CASM, so the Cyber Asset Attack Service Management Solution, which will fill this void and offer the organization an accurate and almost real-time picture of the assets. And then, of course, record lessons, debrief, go back and forth. The lessons learned document is very, very important. And this is all part of the recovery step and phase of things. So the process of listing vulnerabilities as per their order of priority is called, that would be prioritize vulnerabilities, and which phase entails updating and strengthening resilience plans and restoring any compromised capabilities. So restoring is going to be the word that I'm going to use as my hint, and it's not recovery. What? No way. Okay, so if it's not recover, or is it a recover? Maybe not recovery. Recover. Okay, that's I have read the details regarding all the 5 phases. Yes, we did. And there we go. That's it. That's what we got. And we got a badge for this one too. So I'm excited about that. There's a badge for the particular task that we're on, which is the threats and risks. Since I completed this thing, I got a badge for it. I am very excited about that. And now we are going to the next one. The next episode, we're going to go through the network and system security module. So that was it for the vulnerability management room. If you got any value from this video, or if you are studying for your security engineer or security analyst or Pentest Plus or ethical hacker, any of those things, I do invite you and encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out from this channel. I already have a bunch of playlists that are complete or damn near close to being complete. For example, the SOC Level 1 Junior Security Analyst pathway. And there's over 50 videos inside of that. So there's a lot of good stuff that's already on this channel in the short period of time that we've been live on this channel. So I think you'll get a lot of value from it that you can use on your examinations as well as your day-to-days of just doing these jobs and doing this work. So I think it'll be useful to you, and just as an extra bonus, it would be really awesome to have you as the part of our community. It's been a very nice growth spurt that we've had, and it's constantly continuing to grow, and it would just be awesome to have you. And you know, if you have any comments or questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll definitely go ahead and get to them. And even if it especially if it's a good one, I'll go ahead and create a video just for your comments. So that'll be really fun to do as well. And I did the first user inspired video this past week, so that was really cool to do, and it's on the dark web, by the way. So if you want to go check that out, there's a video about the dark web. That was an interesting question that we got. So yeah, that is it for the vulnerability management episode 8. I want to say, yeah, episode 8/day 8 of the security engineer path. So it's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker / protector. I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. Love, peace, and chicken grease. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.